Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Truth Tellin today. So, my name is Deirdre Ryan. I'm a certified parent coach and educator, and I work with clients one on one in person in Cork City, as well as online or over the phone. And I also host different talks and workshops. So, if you're looking for support, please do get in touch. Check out my website. Okay, so continuing on with big feelings and the conversations around it, I wanted to talk about how do you feel? What do you expect when you say no to a child or a young person? Um, and yeah, I think often what happens, it's not all the time, but often when we have to say no or, put something away or turn something off, um, in a sort of maybe make believe land, our children totally agree with us, are very fine with accepting the no. They accept it graciously and they thank us for our kindness and our concern, and off they go. Right? So that's a very make believe expectation. And I think if we have that expectation and we're met with something other than that, it can feel distressing for ourselves as the adults. So, what I would like to offer is um, when we do say no, no to the second cookie, no to another episode of Paw Patrol, um, no to, staying longer at the park, right? Have a realistic expectation that our kids may have a big reaction to that. They may be very sad, they may get upset, they may feel angry, they may cry, they may plop themselves on the ground, they may say things that feel hurtful, like I hate you and this is so mean and you're so mean, right? They may do any of those things, right? Because they're upset. And it's okay. That's what I want to say. It doesn't make them bad. I absolutely hate the term spoiled. I think it's horrendous and shouldn't be used for children, but doesn't make them spoiled or ungrateful. It's not, it's an emotion. An emotion is flowing through because in that moment they're disappointed or they're sad or they're feeling powerless, they're enjoying their time. They don't understand, especially when they're younger, that they have to get home and it takes this long to make food and this long to take a bath and this, they don't have that big picture yet. So they're upset, they're showing an emotion, and it's okay, right? So what we want to do is come in again with compassion because we expect it, right? Of course you're upset. Of course you're sad that you can't watch more Paw Patrol. I hear you. You wanted to stay on the phone longer. This is really upsetting. I hear you. It's upsetting. I love you. I know it's so sad. I know, and really mean it because it is. It is like even for myself. If I have to go to bed and I have to turn off something I'm watching, I don't enjoy it. I want to keep watching the thing as well. Sometimes I do and I stay up too late, but I'm an adult now. But anyway, just giving them grace and compassion, like really heartfelt compassion, um, and saying, I hear you. I hear you. This is really hard. You really wanted that extra biscuit. I hear you, do you know? And we're not having any more. You don't have to have a big explanation each time, right? We don't have to, try to explain it so that, well, if we explain it, give them a good explanation about sleep maybe and sugar before sleep or cavities or whatever, right? In the hopes, I think sometimes we do that. It's not necessarily to teach them that, but it's in the hopes that they'll get it and they'll quiet down and not have these big feelings in the moment, right? Because remember, big feelings, and that can, especially if you're tired, it can distress your nervous system as well. So, even when you're doing it, just holding you put your hand here. I always put my hand under my belly button as well on my belly there, because even when we're saying it, then we're using our voice, we're coming down to their level, or we're just being present, even for ourselves, right? I hear you. I hear you. This is upsetting and we need to turn it off. I know. And we're going to turn it off. I know You're very sad about, I see that. I see that. And we're going to turn it off, and we're going to give them that space and that grace and allow them to have that feeling, and then have them come back, to center. We're going to stay regulated. We're going to help them to re-regulate. We're not going to shame them in any way for having these feelings. As I said, they're not bad or wrong. They're feelings. All feelings are valid, right? They're not going to distress us with this feeling so much that we're going to get into a panic, right? Because then the kids learn feelings are scary. Not only am I having them and they're overwhelming my body. Remember, these are electrical chemical charges and they can feel like they are taking over. Imagine a time where you've been in deep grief or something and you are just, it's an uncontrollable feeling, and for a lot of kids that can be very scary as well, so we're not going to shame them, we're not going to invalidate them, right? And we're just going to be present. And even if you don't have the time, to just sit on the ground with them to do it, you can keep moving and still do it. I hear you. I know this is so hard. This is so hard. I love you no matter what. I love you so much, right? And if they're saying things that are dysregulating us, right, I'm just going to give you the little tip to do your best and not take it personally, right? In the heat of the moment, when they're overwhelmed by these big feelings, they're not in their rational brain, right? These aren't thoughts that they've held on to and they've waited for a moment to say it, right? As parents and caregivers, I'm sure there are times too when each of us have been really distressed or overwhelmed or tired or sad, and maybe have said something that we didn't mean at all, we didn't mean it at all, it's just, it just comes out, right? So again, we're giving them that space and the compassion, right? Again, we could see I'm still holding on to myself because I'm keeping myself as regulated as possible. I'm translating what they're saying, right? I'm translating all that. And again, just like I spoke last week, is these are not teaching moments. These are not teaching moments, right? You can do all that modeling and teaching outside of the moment. What they're learning is that it's okay to have these big feelings, that my mom or dad or caregiver is supporting me and loving me no matter what. I will return to my safety, to ventral vagal state, right? And it will be okay, right? It is okay. My parent hasn't gone into a panic because of this feeling that's happening, right? They're there, and you're still able to keep your no and keep your clarity on what it is you need them to either do or stop doing in that moment, right? So again, moving away from expecting them to just accept it joyfully, right? Knowing that it's a human response, right? Especially with young kids, that's just part of being a young kid. They're acting like children because they are children. Or for our teens and adolescents who are going through so many brain changes, not just the hormones, but the brain changes, and going through a lot, right? There's a lot going on for them. So again, giving them space and compassion, right? And being able to hold that space, not take things personally, and loving them no matter what. So again, before you have to come in and say something that isn't going to go well, we've all been there. Take that little moment before for yourself, and just give yourself whatever it is, if it's there, it's that thymus thump, just hands on your face, whatever it is that just ensures you're in a regulated state, and then go in and say, this is what we have to do. And you can hold that clearly without yourself feeling overwhelmed by their emotion, right? So if we as the adults start to feel overwhelmed by what the child is experiencing, if we're afraid of what's happening, if we've gone into a nervous system response, right? If we're going into a fight, so now you're kind of, no, I told you to do it, or don't be so silly, all those things that can happen, or shut down, like whatever, here, take whatever it is, if we're doing that, we may feel, right? They hear a lot of this idea that kids are manipulating us, which, I don't believe in. You may feel that way, but what's really happening is we have lost our own autonomy, right? Because we've become so distressed that we may not be able to tolerate their distress. right? So we have changed in a way we didn't want to. So we've made something clear. We have now feel uncomfortable by their response, and now we're changing what we said, we were going to do. So, and then we may not feel good about that, or may feel they've made us do that, right? Because they were crying so much, or because they got distressed, or because they were thrown on the ground. I had to change. And what I'm saying is, we can hold that space with so much love and compassion, for our children, but again, always for ourselves first, always for ourselves first, and then we can support and help regulate with our children. So I hope you find that helpful. I've experienced this over 14 years in many different ways as a parent. Also, as a lot of you know, I work with toddlers, and even in those situations, always, I expect toddlers to act like toddlers. I expect babies to act like babies, right? Because that's what they're going to do. And, that has been the difference for me. That's the difference. So again, just noticing, what are your expectations or your hopes or your made up story about how things will go. And also, if you might notice, what you might want to think back to, what was the expectation for you, right? So I know for me growing up, there was, you could say or do nothing other than okay, right? There was no feelings to be felt. I couldn't express in any way my upset or distress, right? I had no option for that. So that was all bottled down, right? And that, I'll tell you, in the long run, did not serve me, and has taken me many years to heal from that as well, and to learn to be comfortable with feelings, my own and other people's, right? So yeah, it's a great gift for yourself and your children to really get curious, check in, see what's going on, get curious about your response, right? Get curious about your expectations and where they're coming from, or any stories you have around the expectations, and then expect responses, of a child that are appropriate for a child, right? And getting upset when you say you can't have another biscuit, or, it's time to go home, is a very logical expectation, right? That is just how they're going to express it. So much love to all of you, and I just wish you all courage and curiosity. Courage and curiosity as you just explore yourself and how you're feeling, and then it'll be a very different path. That has been for me. All the best till next time. Bye.